Great to have you back in South Africa. It's always lovely when you come here.
Thank
and
you.
You've been coming here, I believe now it's 7 years, 7 times rather?
7 times, that's
7
right.
times.
Because the first time I came was, I mean, a long, long time ago. It was in 61.
I remember it. I remember when you came with the
1861,
Shadows.
I think. Yes.
I remember it very well.
Do you really?
Yes,
yeah,
I
we
do.
had a really good time, but we always have a good time here.
Now this time, of course, it's only rock and roll you're doing. It's not a gospel concert.
No, it's not. The other 4 occasions that I've been here since 1970 were specifically gospel charity shows. And I got the feeling, well, not the feeling, I mean, people kept coming to me and saying, have you given up singing rock and roll? And I said, no, of course not. So I thought, well, I've got to come back now. So I found a band in Australia, brought 3 of my singers over from England, and we've been doing rock and roll shows here. But of course, I do about 4, I think it is, gospel songs, because they happen to be just good enough anyway to sing in a rock and roll show.
Well, Cliff, you know, some people feel that rock and roll is not really, doesn't really go with Christianity. I'm not one of them. I think it does, you know. I'm with you on that, but a lot of people feel it just doesn't go together.
Well, you know, I know that people feel that, and I constantly wish I had the chance to look at them in the eye and say, look, you know, do you or do you not believe that the Lord God created everything? And therefore, if he created everything, he created every type of music, every single sound. Wind blowing through a tree makes a noise. If you capture it and put it into guitar strings and stretch it, that's God's creation. And really, it's only what we make of it that makes it bad. In other words, there obviously is bad rock and roll. I mean, heaven help me, I wouldn't say otherwise. But I would have thought it's all the more reason why there ought to be more Christians trying to make good rock and roll so that we can glorify God in this form of music that is so popular around the world.
And of course, when I first met you, you hadn't really become a newly born Christian. And
No.
the thing, of course, which I know will interest everybody most of all, and me too, I'd like to know exactly the moment when you were converted. I don't think it was like happened to St. Paul. It wasn't a great dramatic happening, was it?
No, it wasn't really. I mean, I can remember the moment that I now look back and say, yes, that's the moment I became a Christian. I remember having spent nearly 3.5 years just talking with people and just asking questions because I'd got very serious about life, you know, and I thought, what am I doing here? And having got a lot of answers, I remember lying on my bed one night and someone had got me to read from the Bible, and it was the Revelation 3:20. Behold, I stand at the door and I knock, Jesus says, and whoever opens the door, I'll come in. Now, I thought to myself, now, wait a minute. You know, Jesus, I believe so much about you, but I haven't actually opened any doors, and if you're knocking on the door, I want you in. And I remember lying there saying, okay, I know you're there. I don't even know how to open the door, but I want you in my life, please come in. And that's really the moment that I remember as being my moment of conversion. No, it wasn't dramatic. I wish I could say that I heard drums in the distance. If I did, it would probably be the record player next door.
I think it's much better that way, actually, Cliff, because I think that most people feel that they could perhaps receive the same message the same way that you did, because the idea of something dramatic, most people would feel couldn't ever happen to them, but most people could think what happened to you could happen to them.
Well, that's, Joy, I mean, that's the marvelous thing about Christianity. It doesn't belong to Christians, and it is something that can take place in absolutely anybody's lives. I mean, that's the whole point. Jesus came for everyone. He didn't come for pop singers or for rich people or for just poor people. And I find it so fascinating that just everyday normal people who will look towards Jesus and seriously ask questions about him will find answers that will amaze them. It amazed me. I didn't know that people rationalized about their Christianity, and I was thrilled that they did, and now I do too.
Well, I know that in London, I think you've got a special organization now, because having become a Christian has really changed your whole life, so it's made you feel very responsible. And this is some organization which is trying to put Christianity back into the arts and into the media.
Yes, it is. It's called the Christian Art Center Group, and about 3 or 4 of us were at the beginnings of it some, oh, I don't know, nearly 10 years ago, 8 years ago, certainly. And in fact, we met and prayed together much more than we did anything else, because we didn't have a building, and we just kept saying, you know, God, please, you know, we'd stop outside the building and say, is this the place, you know, and pray that we might have some indication. But finally, we got a building, and now our membership is a sort of 600 paid-up professional members, and you know, the idea is to present Jesus to these people so that having had a conversion, they can then present him in their art form.
Would you yourself actually sing anything which you consider to be harmful in a lyric?
Certainly not. I spend a lot of time changing odd words, even with songs like Devil Woman, which was not a positive song originally. I changed odd words and made things, it says now, stay away from people like spirit mediums. It's an anti-spirit medium song. And although I know a lot of people didn't understand that, if they read the lyrics, they'd realize it is a positive statement against that, which as a Christian I believe I ought to make.
You must feel especially responsible when you're singing for young people, because I know that the youth of the world are very much in your mind at the moment, and you're just wondering the way things are going for the youth.
Well, obviously the youth is our hope, really, isn't it? I mean, and I just hope that even though maybe their parents haven't presented Jesus in a way that perhaps they should have done, I just hope that people will realize that Jesus is a very real, relevant being, and that if they gave him half a chance, he can enter their lives and change them radically.
Well, you know, I feel the same as you do. I have the same beliefs, and I love the Lord as you do. And speaking of loving the Lord, you have got a new song, which I think is a very, very beautiful one, Lord, I Love You. Cliff, would you sing it for us?
I'd love to.
Lord, I love you. There's no doubt about it. And I want you to take me home. Lord, I love you. Please take me home. But I know each day spent here below must be spent just letting other people know that I love you. Leave no doubt about it, and that I want you to take me home. Lord, I love you. Please take me home. Though at times life seems as good as it's gonna get, you can't take it from me that we ain't seen nothing yet. There's a heaven, not too distant future, and the glory that we can call home. Lord, I love you. There's no doubt about it, no, and I want you to take me home. Lord, I love you. Please take me home.
The Reverend George Canty.